I was going to garden. I am not. I am not going to be able to garden. Okay, so I want fairies want me to. This is probably for me. It's for me that the fairies want me to start talking about some of the shit. I'm always thinking about something. I'm thinking about many things. Um, so I was gonna go do a bunch of gardening. Ain't gonna happen for probably a week. So a week plus. Anyway, things that I want to talk about. I'm gonna make this kind of quick. That I wonder. I maybe Harold. Let me tell you about this. I have a bunch of ideas of just thoughts. I'm always thinking, sadly, and there's always different things going on based on my perspective. So, if you want well done shit, you should go see all these black authors and queer authors and any type of people that there's plenty of stuff that you can study for. Myself included because I haven't read in a long ass time. Um let me start with this that I want to little talk about that ultimately I know that America was it's like good and bad, mostly bad, like almost always bad. But I do want to say that might have been a beneficial thing that happened sort of for for humanity based on globalism. I think that if we had not had the Britain and, colonization, I do not know that we would have had America being capitalistic, did all of the industrialization, in which case that because they're already colonizers, they know about global and going finding other options. And I don't know that we would have had planes. And then I don't know that we would have had internet. When people because of the how I say this, I'll say this Brown intuitive always has been talking like, well, there's always going to be a an era where technology advances, in which case industrialization, whatever industrialization, um, even we had that when people could read. That's a form of technology. You would have all of these things to advance humanity, but all of those were toxic as fuck. Like, if we go think about that, the reading was good because you have the option of people to know what, you had the rich. It's always been rich versus poor constantly. It's only gotten worse because of capitalism, because they used to have um obligatory nobles were expected to make things existence wise possible for the peasants to continue to exist. If the peasants didn't have a manageable life, they would not plant and farm or anything, and then they would starve. So the rich would starve. Apparently, since we had the American industry, when they started with fucking up a bunch of indigenous people as well as stealing indigenous people from where they're from and come on over here. That oh fuck, ADHD. We had all this. I don't edit. That we would have all of these things going on. It's toxic as fuck because of the colonization. But it had a huge benefit for growth and people with the hope of being rich, which is probably because of since beginning of time they've always had a class war. Always, not a class war, but there's always been class tiers, tier. And people would always, for a certain time, poor people did not consider for getting rich. They were like, well, we're just fucking poor. That's the end of that. Because the rich people controlled the media, which they didn't have media so much because people couldn't read. They would control the society. They still do now, I'll tell you that much. They didn't have the advance of technology that we do with the internet. And that's because of at some point the advance of reading, where people can read, advance of industrialization. And anyway, we've had each time a certain era has happened where people want to protect the poor, and at each time that there would be, man, I don't think anybody's gonna listen to this. Um, I think they should. I need to talk about this stuff because the ADHD, and also I just want to be able to talk about myself or my perspective because I'm being silenced by society, and regardless of that, I'm just gonna say shit. I don't think I'm not important to people online, and I don't know that I want to be so much of a important. I want to be able to afford my life, but other than that, I don't know. I don't feel popular, and I don't have the luck that people usually have with speaking for internet with the TikTok, whatever. People will start just get something very lucky about going viral, and I have no control over that. And I don't think I'm going to go viral at any point. I think people might be like, "Oh shit, maybe I vibe with that." But this is too long, and I don't know. I don't edit, and people will probably be like, "Well, I don't want to listen to that because not I don't edit it, which means it's too long of a video for you to give a shit." That is what it is. Um anyway, I think that because of the way we've had with the technology, which means the bad things that have happened because of a colonization, that it's at this point that we have the globalization where people can travel and they can connect with people far away from them. um, so every time we have something good slash bad, it has the pros and cons of it. And with you have the colonization, which was always, it was for the bad of the people, um, especially people who fucking lived there. They got fucked over, and because of all this bad things you have, then you have this random positive thing, which is the globalization, which is, it's subjective anyway, because globalization is like, well, shit, look at all this shit's going on. Countries need so much shit from people, or they make things way too, the global economy, whatever the fuck shit. Um, ultimately, every time we have a shitty thing going on, which was too bad, like horrific shit, even that came with something that became better than you expected. And I think that probably has to do with, this more aligns with my belief of reincarnation, that it makes sense that, well, first of all, I want to say that people have, so the reason why we forget about history is because literally people don't feel that. Everything we remember, we understand from, is from experience alone. People forget history because it's not something they can feel it. They cannot feel it because it's not in their experience for the most part. Those who have empathy are people who have probably autistic, probably ADHD. I would be surprised that neurotypicals would have enough empathy to understand what other people could feel, or assume and sympathize, empathize. I do not think that is something that people get with their neurotypical. And then you're like, well, I'm neurotypical. I don't know about that because the way we have our society where neurotypicals are basically neurotypicals are the proletariat. So they understand that they're poor. They either have because of American the empire that people still do hope for um they still hope for being a rich person, which is a really dumb thing to do. So maybe it's a mix of proletariat, but also it's probably just the middle class. Um, it's both because you have some people who hope that they'll get rich enough that they don't have to be proletariat. So that's the middle class. And then the proletariats who are like, we're just poor. It's old poor. We know how this goes. And I will just take what I get because whatever, I can feed myself and that's that. And then you just have the rich, which is they feed everything, not literally, I mean feed you for the um speech or things that media and all that type of stuff, society and all that. And so with all of that, it gets so hard. So the neurotypicals do with that, and then you have the neurodivergent people who are still poor because we don't we don't look where the way the neurotypicals are expecting of us because they're the ones who actually make the cog of the machine work the most. The neurotypicals accept the absolute shit that goes on right now. Um, maybe it's possible there's neurotypicals who give a shit. I just find it rare because the way society is neurotypicals understand that um they accept a lot of nuance and lies most on based on all of that, and they expect for I think that neurotypicals this is all over the place, so I don't even know how to title this. Neurotypicals ultimately appreciate um lies because they prefer the option of hiding most of themselves. And this is subjective and also things that everybody has. When you have a different facet of your life, you're a student, you're a teacher, you're an employee, you're at church. All of these has different faces of you, FACE, as well as a phase, PHASE, that you have this type of way for the way you behave. And for neurotypical people, they're very used to most of their who they are as a core. They do not include that for the rest of their facets of life. They will not be that same person in church, in the stripper club, in the hospital, in the job. All of this is because they want to keep face, as in I don't want people to know about me, which I just saw a TikTok saying about that and I fucking forgot, sorry. I don't have the asset, I don't have the functionality to tell you all about the shit that I bring up. It just means you figure it out yourself. So somebody was saying that they call it about ego and all that. I just think they just keep their core hidden almost always. And then the rest of it is based on their behavior of the thing that they're doing in their life, like their job or going to school. Nothing is really based on their exact core. Um, Probably because they understand that their core is never supported, as in they accept they accept lying because of the way capitalism is. I don't know. I don't understand why neurotypical lie a lot. And it's not that they would consider it as a lie as much as they do, because it's not open about a lie to them. They think of it as just the way it is. I don't lie at all. Like, if I lied about something, I don't know. I just don't lie. And though I get fired a lot because they don't like to see who you are. They want to, that means that they probably neurotypical assume that you're, I don't know, this is all over the place. Anyway, neurotypicals, this is what happens when I don't take a video about something I have on mind. Because now I've been keeping something boiled down into myself instead of accepting myself for vocalizing about something. And now I have all these thoughts, and nothing is clear because I did not allow myself to speak about it. And that's why, though it's raining all week, I think it's because I have more ideas. Shit. Well, fuck. I don't know. Neurotypicals accept a lot of shit because they understand to them that lie is expected. And because of that, they assume that neurodivergent people, they understand, well, they have their own belief that people inherently lie to save face for literally something very, very private. They will not be themselves until it's someone they can trust the best. And even then, they don't even tell all truth. That's like a marriage thing. And even then, they still lie about a bunch of stuff, regardless. And then they, with that belief and that core on themselves, they're like, well, shit, this person is speaking stuff clearly or something that is very honest. To them, they're like, well, I'm expected to people lying a bunch of stuff. If you're telling things the honest thing, I have to assume you're lying about something. There's must be something there. You're telling me something like this, which means you're lying about that, which means there's a real core behind it. So I don't want to deal with whatever they're assuming that you have, which you don't, because we don't fucking lie the same way that they expect. Anyway, they fucking hate that. But and so they accept a lot of bullshit because they accept the lies because at least they understand the lie that's going on with capitalism and rich people, that they'll tell, like, you know what, anything can happen to you, you can get rich, which is not true because the way wealth has, they literally inbreed the whole life, at least with Victorians, probably always. Every society, every country, every era of time, they have inbred wealth so that people can keep it away from poor people, which is interesting as fuck to think that the whole thing has been. I mean, you just inbreed this shit up just so you could keep the money. It's weird as fuck. I'm neurodivergent. Of course, that makes sense. I think that's fucking weird. And neurotypical people are probably like, what do you mean? People want to keep their money. You're fucking your own cousins and siblings for what, man? Um, and then neurotypicals assume, like, well, hold on. If you think that you can be rich, even though you know they they literally breed people based on like either people who are rich and people who are um like cousins and fuck. That's like, anyway, you assume that that's possible to you, even though you know they literally fuck their own ancestry. So I don't know. They just accept a bunch of lies because it's easier to them to be like, well, I can still think about the dream. I can still dream about these lies, and maybe it's possible. It's not, even though you understand it. I don't know. Oh no. And ultimately, like, the globalization has been kind of good in such a way that we have the access to poor people globally. So now everyone can hear people's thoughts and all of that, which they usually just had with the rich, with the poor people, it was like your own little circle. So you could be like, holy shit, man, it just sucks we're poor and we hang out with our little circle of poor people. Now you have the internet, you have traveling, you have all of this. Now you can see there's poor everywhere. And now you see that, oh shit, everyone suffers. But not only that, you get to consider about people and you can have a bigger circle, which means you can care more about people based on people who are not even there with you. So you don't even see them physically, you see them virtually. And then you're like, well, shit, I actually care about that. So now you realize that it's entirely global, that people suffer everywhere. So it's like either neurotypical people who believe, I forgot what I was supposed to do yesterday. Oh. Neurotypicals have the option. Okay, so I'm sure there's neurodivergent people who don't believe in. Um, I think there's possible for neurodivergent people who don't have sense of justice, and that's probably based on your own childhood abuse. Um, and your lack of skills. Shit happens. For the neurotypicals, for those who also like, it's either people accept their lie or they have to fight the lie as a neurotypical person. For the capitalism to be like, holy shit, other people suffer. Well, I wouldn't like that suffer for my little circle. Now it's a bigger circle, and now I want to think about all of these other people. So hold on a second. So rich people are telling us that it's possible, which, how is that true when you have billions of people who are suffering? And even though the rich people tell you that you could be rich at some point, which is just a lie, I now have to decide that it's unacceptable to take that lie anymore because I know that it's not going to keep it anymore. And I knew that it was going to happen to me, that, you know what, I'm always going to suffer. I knew it. I still liked the lie of it and the possibility of it, that I could get rich. But now I know that those bitches somewhere else ain't going to ever get it, which means, oh shit, you know what? I'm lying to myself too. So I guess I'll have to accept. You have the option of, oh, now I understand that everyone suffers, which would be me and me too, and it's a lie. If I understand that it's a lie to them, then it must be a lie to me. The question is, do I want to let go of the lie or not? And um that would be neurotypicals would be like, oh, okay. If I give a shit about people, I want to let go of the lie. But if I'm also very poor, then it sucks to suffer, and a lot of people prefer to not feel at all, which means accept lies, accept a bunch of shame and lie, that it's easier to distract them from the real pain and suffering and feeling things. So, yeah. But I think, and that's the thing, because all of us, the way things are is because a bunch of people suffered by people for this globalization. But that's the thing, rich people do not have foresight. They never have foresight. Everything is very short. And I think it's because they understand that nothing lasts. And so because they understand that we will kill them, we will bankrupt them, we will get rid of all of their money. Because of that, they're like, I'd rather take an extra day, week, month before I have to consider address my feelings. So I know that this will destroy whatever this is from people, and I know that it won't last. But I do know that I don't want to feel right now. So they're another form of addiction, which is why I already had a video about rich people and it's all about addictions and all of that. So yeah, you can't convince a rich person to do that. The only thing you can do is take it away from them, honestly. For rich people and their bullshit stuff. They are dumb as fuck because that's what you do when you're living in an addiction. You get dumb as fuck. And anything to avoid an actual feeling. And of course, because of the way that they take for ease, convenience, and that includes technology, that now everybody is everywhere. So, yeah, they wouldn't have had to keep all of that. But also, just the way things go with reincarnation, that everything is a different phase of the humanity and all that. Like, if you think about, you've seen games about civilizations, that we've always had games about that. And I think that it's more of the reincarnation is a form of your own skin as a game, that you figure this out over time and you always have this type of stuff. And that's why I think that history is ignored, because for each incarnation we have iteration, we don't remember that. For the vast majority of us, we do not remember what had happened in the last iteration. So you don't remember the feelings that you had at that time, because this new iteration is going to feel more different other things. When you have that, you forget all of that. And that's the entire humanity thing, where they do not remember history. They don't give a shit about history because they don't have the sense of empathy until it's something, disorder. For most of the time, it's a fucking disorder. For the most neurotypical, based on, especially in this empire of America and capitalism, that they prefer. Hold on a second. The capitalism, fuck, is for the, so you have all this line on all that. I don't know what I was saying on that one. I was getting somewhere. Fuck. Anyway, brain fog. I'm trying to let go of all my. I'm trying to let go of my feelings. Like, everything feels stress in my body, which hurts me. I'm trying to let go of the stress and all that. And even though I'm poor as fuck, that is okay. And I'm trying to accept that, you know what? Poor is not the end all be all. And if it is, I can do more with my life than it is to just be poor. I'm learning the gardening now. Yeah, I'm hearing the thunder right now. So it's going to rain some more today because it's early as fuck already. It's dark because there's cloud. Um 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 oh no. Yeah, so we ignore our history because we don't feel it, because of the capitalism wants you to be believing in lies, which means you don't want to feel empathy because they don't want you to feel for other people because they want the isolation. The isolation is what the rich people appreciate the most, and that's why they support more neurotypicals, because they accept a lot of bullshit, because they can believe and teach themselves a lie and accept it just so they can ignore and the feelings that they may have. And so, for the most part, because we've always had rich and poor people, always, forever. They've always been encased, and I'm sure that's not applicable for, I don't know, indigenous people, because some, I don't know. There's a whole other thing. I don't know it. Ultimately, you'll never appreciate the history until you either have extreme empathy or remember your past lives, because you can know how it felt then, or, and that means you had more other past lives. Your skin was different for all of these types. It's a different character that you're playing with it. Those types you did for each iteration, you had experienced feelings, and um, it's easier to understand that, you know what, I always felt a different feelings at this point. If you can accept that, oh shit, that means I wasn't always just one person. I had more feelings. That means, how do you know this is not from your past life's um uh prosperity, or no, there's a word for it, but lineage. Can you imagine if you had a past life for all this, and for your past life you were brown, you were black, or you were even white, wherever, whatever skin you had, you reproduced over time, you have a new life with a new body, new skin, and they're different skin color, and then all of a sudden you're ignoring a whole other a whole other a group of people that you don't even appreciate, and you accept the suffering of them, despite the fact that it's entirely possible that you those are your grandkids, great grandkids from your last life. Yeah, so if people don't use history, the best you can do is remember how it felt. If you could build up your understanding of your past lives, then you can feel about that. Or you could just feel, well, guess what? If I would accept, I would be like, I love them so much because those are my past lives with my lineage of that time. I want to give a shit about those people. Why not stop? Why stop there when you can just give a shit about everywhere? So that's why we have globalization, I think. With all these sufferings of people, and with all these people who are like psychic and fuck, and all of that, now you have the option to give access to more people, get connected with more people, so you don't have to always think about, oh shit, I must have felt this. Now you want to just be like, well, guess what? We're all human beings, and guess what? We should probably not have people suffering. So, yeah, that's what I think globalization means. And that's the thing also with each um, iteration of an empire. We're going to destroy this empire to whatever percentage we do, that it will be something new. Every 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 empire ends and is replaced. That's the case for humans, for everything. So we're going to, like like civil movements. Civil movements in America were going to be better than it was then. And we're still growing now. So even if we destroy the Empire of America currently, which it will, um, even whatever empire we create to replace it, that will also be destroying. That will have to be destroyed for something better. The best thing about all this shit going on that's been toxic as fuck, that every time we will learn to do something better. And if this is my case, this is my empire that I want to destroy so that I can grow something better, there will be things that I can't fix because this is my understanding of shit that's going on. This is my life. This iteration, that I feel the sufferings of all these people. So the ones who come past from this empire destruction, the new empire, is going to have another form of toxic. There's going to be a level of toxicity. And the people understand the suffering of that one, and they will want to destroy certain parts of that too. We will always be growing things for bigger, better, but mostly not bigger, better. You know what? Fuck that. I didn't mean that. I mean more efficient and better as humanity. Not like capitalism is a disaster. Um. So yeah, everything that we may finish on this one will straight up just be destroyed anyway at some point, and we will totally every empire is going to be replaced, even the one that I'm going to create now. And I'm totally cool with that because I want everything to have more better things going on with that. So yeah, let me close this one and then I have another thing that I want to even talk about. Let me see if I want to even talk about this. This is like globalization, capitalism, neurotypicals. It's like all over the place. And now it's dark. It's like that. Okay.